Howdy, folks. I just finished reading all your comments on Poe's Ligeia. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think folks have a handle on some of the basics. It is a complicated story. It is a work of the Gothic. As we know, the writers of the Gothic, and that includes Hawthorne, loved impenetrable mystery. What is really going on? Can we really trust our own ability even to perceive reality? And of course, that's what we had with both the birthmark and Minister's Black Veil. And we have something similar going on here with Ligeia. Here's a man trying to grasp reality with the power of logical reasoning and language and everything. And, we end up more confused than ever just listening to what this guy has to say. So let me try to break it down for you. Let me give you some of the basics, some of the basic frameworks of the basic framework of the story. And then from there, you can try to fill in the blanks however you like. So the way that I had you want to jump into the question was, I had it broken down basically into two ways. One way is, let's just assume for a minute, even though the guy keeps saying he's high, like what would you do if I walk into the classroom or show up here and I'm just like, yeah, I just drank a 6-pack. And what's the first thing that's going to pop into your mind? It's just like, I don't know if I really trust this guy. I don't know if I'm really going to believe. I don't think there's going to be a shred of sincerity or much truth that I can really work with because this guy just told me he's drunk, okay? So that's what we've got going on with his narrator. He keeps saying he's high on opium. That's even worse than being drunk, arguably, right? But all that aside for a second, let's just try to approach the narrator just on his own terms. Let's assume we can believe at least some of what he's saying. And so, but based on what he's telling us, what would he have us believe about what he perceived? Because after all, just because he was really drunk, does that mean that what he saw was completely wrong? No, not necessarily. All right. Okay, so let's start this way. Okay. Well, if you look over on page 619, and I was glad to see a couple of you pointed this out, so you're right on target here. 619, the epigraph of the story, even before the story starts, he repeats this line from a Joseph Glanville, and then this is repeated 2 more times in the story. So we know we got to pay attention to it. This is a key, to some extent, what has taken place here. Okay, so this is what it says. And the will therein lieth, which dieth not. Who knoweth the mysteries of the will with its vigor? For God is but a great will, pervading all things by nature of its intentness. Man doth not yield himself to the angels, nor unto death utterly, save through the weakness of his feeble will. As a couple of you commented, what this means is that no one dies unless their will just utterly relinquishes this desire to hang on to life. So the flip side of that then is going to be that someone with a really strong will is going to be able to stay alive. Either that or come back from the dead. So you see where I'm going with that? Maybe, just maybe, Ligeia has that power. Do you think so? Do you think Ligeia has that deep capacity, strength to want to return from the dead? I mean, after all, at the start of the story, she's, it's clear that she's just a very accomplished, cultivated woman, very educated, knowledgeable in all these ancient religions and religious practices and on and on and on. So maybe she's worked up some kind of power, however dark that power might be, to be able to return from the dead. Do you think that's possible? Okay, well, the narrator is trying to tell us that maybe that's possible. Okay, so we know they're going along and they're doing their thing and they're practicing all these dark arts together and everything else. And then she, as it says on 622, I have spoken of the learning of Ligeia. It was immense, such as I have never known in a woman. So maybe Poe gets some credit for being a feminist, recognizing he has an advanced appreciation for the intellect and capabilities for women. Okay? Yeah, maybe. So Ligeia has this kind of remarkable, unique power. Goes on to say, I've never known her at fault. Wow. Okay. And she loves him. Goes on and on about how much, over on 623, that Ligeia loved me, I should not have doubted. And I might have been easily aware that in a bosom such as hers, love would have reigned no ordinary passion. Okay, so not only is she incredibly smart, she has a huge heart with an incredible capacity for devoted love and admiration. All right, so all this is kind of setting up a stage for Ligeia maybe being able to pull off a pretty remarkable magic trick, which is to come back from the dead. She has the ability, right? She has the means, which is all this incredible education, plus she has the motive to come back because of this incredible, even idolatrous love for the narrator, okay? Okay, so over on page 626, we start to see, again, all this is if we believe the narrator, right? 626, this is midway down the page. So here's the scene, right? Ligeia has died, dead and buried, right? And then he remarries. He finds a woman named Rowena. So there they are. They're living together, and, as a lot of you commented, it's not a particularly happy marriage, all right? So now let's see what happens here. So they're sitting around, and then some really strange, uncanny things happen. Have you ever done this where you're maybe sitting around at home and you hear a sound and the hair on the back of your neck starts to stand up, or you get goosebumps or something like that, right? That's like our body maybe unconsciously telling us that something's weird. Okay, so there's something like that going on here. Okay, I had felt some palpable object had passed lightly by my person, and I saw that there lay a faint, indefinite shadow upon the golden carpet in the very middle of the rich luster thrown from the censer. So, I don't think we can do it in my room, so I'm not going to try. But he's sitting there, and just some vague, faint shadow is passing over the floor. And, says, oh, that's weird, but then doesn't think much of it. But then, now watch what happens, okay? But I was wild with the excitement of an immoderate dose of opium. Okay, so forget about that. Just because he's high doesn't mean that what he's describing didn't happen. All right, so just put that aside for a second. And I heeded these things but little, nor spoke of them to Rowena. Finding the wine, I recrossed the chamber and poured out a goblet full, which I held to the lips of the fainting lady. So he's going and bringing her some wine because she's not feeling too well. And so there she is, Okay, all right. I don't have a goblet. I just have a candle. Okay, so this will have to do. So here he is. He's pouring wine into the goblet, right? And now what should happen? All right, wine going into the goblet. Poured out a gobletful, which I held to the lips of the fainting lady. But now what? But now what happens? He's handing the glass of wine to Rowena. All right. It was then that I became distinctly aware of a gentle footfall upon the carpet and near the couch. Not Rowena, not him. Something stirring here, right? And in a second thereafter, as Rowena was in the act of raising the wine to her lips, so there she is, she's about to take a great big pull off the goblet, okay? And what should happen, right? I saw, or may have dreamed that I saw, fall within the goblet as if from some invisible spring in the atmosphere of the room, 3 or 4 large drops of a brilliant and ruby-colored fluid. If this I saw, not so Rowena. So she's guzzling down this wine, right? She's cannonballing it, okay? And just then, out of nowhere, literally out of thin air, drops some mysterious liquid fall into the glass, and she drinks it down, okay? And so he notices this, but not Rowena. You know, you think at some point, maybe you say something weird's going on, maybe you don't want to drink that. And I don't think it's any coincidence that shortly after she drinks this wine with the 3 drops of fluid in it, she dies. Okay? This is very subtle, and we as readers have to draw inferences. Does the narrator seem to be suggesting to us that something, some ghost, some spirit has poisoned and killed Rowena? Now, who might that spirit have been? Okay? Maybe, just maybe, could that have been the ghost of Ligeia, right? She sees Rowena messing around with her man, right? You know, what do we do in Odessa, right? If, you know, someone's messing with our man, right? Ladies, okay? We cut them. Don't mess with my man, I'm going to cut you. All right? No, we don't do that in Odessa. But you see what I mean? You know, if you knew Ligeia, are you going to mess around with a woman like that? Of course not. This woman is just nutso, okay? And crazy, devoted, passionate about her man, okay? Doesn't matter that she's dead. You still better not be messing with my man, okay? So maybe that's what's happened here. So she poisons Rowena, not just to get her out of the way, as if that weren't enough, right? You see what else is happening? At the end of the story, when there's Rowena's body lying out there, okay, who is it that seems to have taken over her body? Okay? Can we believe that? That's one heck of a story. I mean, I don't know about y'all. I could have made something like that up, right? So I think that's one heck of an alibi here for the narrator. I was minding my own business. My ex-wife, who's dead, murdered my current wife and took over her body. Works for me. Okay. So that's what we have to ask. Has Ligeia, as the narrator seems to imply, right? Has the narrator or has Ligeia killed Rowena and taken over her body? I mean, you see this, the very end of the story. The very last lines. Here I shrieked aloud, can I never be mistaken? These are the full and the black and the wild eyes of the lady Ligeia. All right? It's a heck of a woman. Guys, I don't know. Seems like the kind of guy, wouldn't you want to meet her on eHarmony, right? This is a heck of a woman here. Okay. That's if we can believe what the narrator is saying, okay? So this is going to be the end of part 1, so I can upload this video. And then in part 2, we'll talk about, this is what the defense is saying, all right? Hey, I don't know what happened, but I think she killed, she killed Rowena and took over her body. But there's another side to this. Can we believe anything that the narrator is saying? Okay? So that's why I was framing the question the way I was. Can we believe the narrator and what he's saying? And if so, what's the story? Or if we can't believe what the narrator is saying, what probably happened? Okay, and that's what we're going to get into part 2. All right, stay tuned.